Two. Hello, hello. We are back for another week of Launch Coast Football. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Chelsea.
and this is technically the last days before the we finally got football, people.
The last day. Woo!
It's fine. Granted, it's preseason, but you
I
know
don't
what?
care.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Nope. Did you see the starting quarterbacks for tomorrow? I believe it's DJ Uiagalelei is playing. I don't know if he's starting, but DJ Uiagalelei is playing. He used to play at Clemson, and Hendon Hooker is playing. So the some of the quarterbacks that are playing in this game are actually moderately interesting. They're not nobodies. So it'll be fun to watch.
I think I saw like Trey Lance is supposed to be starting for one of the teams.
Yes, that's who it is. Yeah, DJ Uiagalelei is supposed to play later in the game apparently, which the only reason I care at all about DJ Uiagalelei is because he played for Clemson and my husband is a huge Clemson fan. So it'll actually be relatively interesting. I'm excited.
Man, you go from a top five pick to now. I think this is Trey Lance's third team. He
Yeah.
just, but you know what? We're not talking about DJ Uga Ungwe or Trey Lance or any other quarterbacks. We're talking about a fun quarterback debate that has been going like a wildfire on the internet for like the past week and a half. Chelsea, Cam Newton or Jalen Hurts?
See, I think this is a really interesting conversation because I would argue that Cam Newton and Jalen Hurts are in different eras of football, at least when they first started their careers. Now, if you took the tail end of Cam Newton, you could argue that he's closer to, the beginning of Jalen Hurts, but I know everyone loves to hate on Cam Newton because he didn't jump on the fumble in the Super Bowl against the Broncos, and it's like the most viral play of his entire career, which is really a shame because he was really good when he played. And it's a shame that that's what people remember about him. But I will say there is only one quarterback of the two of these that never had the advantage or the, you know, ability or the idea to do the tush push, and it is not Jalen Hurts. So if you look at Jalen Hurts' rushing touchdowns, now obviously not all of them are the tush push. Like the dude is a skilled runner. No one's going to argue that. But there was no pushing of tushes going on in the day of Cam Newton. Cam Newton was bowling people over.
He was doing the pushing by
Yes.
himself.
Yes. Now, I will say, I think that Jalen Hurts is a lot better of a passer. I don't really think many people are going to argue that. That was never Cam Newton's strength, ever. He wasn't as bad as people paint him out to be, but he was never like the best. He was never a Manning or a Brady or a Breeze or a Rodgers or anything like that. That just wasn't a skill set. So, me personally, I would take Hurts as the passer, but if we're going to talk rushing, I'm not taking Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts is good, and he has the benefit of a great O line, and that's great for him, and it's great for Eagles fans, and it got them a Super Bowl last year. That's great. I love that for you guys. But Cam Newton was built different, dude. I mean, he just was.
I think the biggest point of this whole debate, I have two things with this debate. First of all, like Jalen Hurts is not even 30 at this point. We're making a very big assumption right now in terms of how his career is going to go. Because
True.
I remember like not even a year ago, probably like at the beginning of last season, people was wondering if Jalen Hurts was even going to stay the starting quarterback for the Eagles.
True.
Like Jalen Hurts has had the fight since Alabama, since he lost his job to Tua for to stay in the league, while Cam coming out of high school, going to Florida, then spending a year in between colleges, and then going to Auburn, having arguably the greatest college season for any quarterback ever. And then the fact is, Cam was the number one draft pick on one of the worst football teams I've ever seen. That Panthers team was I think that might have been my first year in North Carolina since I when I moved. And I said, wow, I want to go back.
Oh
Let's
no.
go. Like this isn't good. This is no boo. And then like Cam immediately comes in and he basically took the team on his shoulders. Like the whole thing with Jalen Hurts is people wondering how good are you when you don't have Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, an all-time offensive line. Like that Eagles team, that Eagles offense is one of the best offenses generally in the past few years in terms, at least definitely talent wise. Talent wise, I don't even think it's a debate. You have to go to probably the first KC championship of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce at their primes and stuff. But I have to give, at the moment, I have to preface this by saying, at the moment, if I have the first pick in the draft and like I just have an average team, which I'm probably going to take Cam.
Me too.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean Jalen Hurts can't get better. That doesn't mean I
Right.
can see more. That's the thing. Jalen Hurts is like he's still a very young person. He's still very young. I will push back on one thing. I think the most viral moment of Cam Newton's career, me personally, is the Packers game when Clay Matthews calls out a
That
signal,
was pretty good.
and then he looks
Yeah.
at him, smiles, said, "Oh, good, you've been watching film. Watch what I'm about to do," and then throws a
Watch
touchdown pass.
this. That was pretty funny.
That to
That's true.
me, that is still one of the just in terms of oil farming, that's still one of the greatest moments, regular season moments I've ever seen from a quarterback. When you just like, watch
That's true.
this, it's just
That was a
perfect.
Yeah,
But
no, it definitely is interesting. And I will give Jalen Hurts a bit of credit here. Jalen Hurts did not have Saquon his whole career with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts did not even have AJ Brown
no, that's
his whole
fair.
career with with the Eagles. Now, Jalen Hurts has always had a good O-line, something that Cam Newton pretty much never had ever in his entire career. Now, imagine if you took this current Philadelphia Eagles offense, you replaced Jalen Hurts with Cam Newton. Like, dude, if they were unstoppable already with Jalen Hurts, imagine Cam Newton. And I mean, like I mentioned earlier, Cam was never known to be the best passer. Now, I do think he's unnecessarily hated on. I don't think he's as bad as people paint him out to be.
Yeah,
But even still, I mean, he was never one of the best. No one's going to argue that. I know that, he's going to get passed in yards this season. I mean, by Hurts. I mean, automatically. I mean, they're really not all that far, less than 1,000 yards between the two of them. And he's going to get passed by touchdowns, and he's already passed by rushing yards and rushing touchdowns and record. So, that would cause people to kind of lean towards Jalen Hurts. But Cam Newton was just a different level of dominant. Like when Cam Newton was on, brother was on. It's kind
but
of like what you were saying earlier. If you put Jalen Hurts in the offense Cam Newton got drafted into, and Cam Newton still dominated in that offense. I just don't foresee that being something that Jalen Hurts would do. Not to say that he's bad. I just think Cam Newton's ceiling, when he was on, his ceiling was just so much higher, even though they're a similar quarterback archetype, in my opinion.
at least in terms of maybe play, body wise, it's like Cam is just a lot. The best way to
Yeah, in terms of play, yeah.
yeah, like body wise, Cam Newton, I'd say a perfect comparison to him would be like a Josh Allen. Like,
Actually, Anthony Richardson is about his size as well, which you wouldn't think so if you look at Richardson. He looks a lot skinnier, but apparently they're actually pretty comparable.
well, I was going to think of quality, but yes, Anthony Rich.
Funny.
I can make jokes. That's, but that's one thing I worry about Josh Allen, like because Cam, his last few years in the league was painful to watch. Like he broke
Hmm.
down, declared he couldn't move like he could. Like, and I worry about that with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
But like with in terms of he's like you mentioned, Hurts has a better record. Hurts wasn't drafted. The team Hurts got drafted by, the Eagles, was coming off a NFC East divisional win. They had won the NFC East title and they used Hurts as I believe a second or third round draft pick. This the Panthers team that Cam got drafted by was one of the worst teams. It's probably if not counting the teams that have gone that have, like the Lions and the Browns that didn't win the game.
And Jacksonville.
No, Jacksonville never had like a 0 something season.
They were 1-15 at one point, though.
Fair. Okay, yeah, that's true. But no, that Panthers team, it was painful to watch. And, I give credit to Cam in terms of making them respectable. And then by like year 4, 5, 6, that's when they start doing the playoff runs and everything.
Right.
But so
Yeah,
I
it's
give him
it's
the credit for that.
definitely interesting. This whole graphic of Cam Newton and Jalen Hurts, like it has passing yards, passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, and record. Why you would put record on an individual stat line is stupid to me. Like record is a team attribute. Like it's a team statistic. It's not an individual player statistic. Like you can't judge Cam Newton off of his team record with the Panthers when his team was like the worst team anyone had seen in a long time when he got drafted. Like, that's just not really fair to me. I would rather look at individual play and individual statistics compared to team records, though not to say it can't play a part because of course it can,
Yeah,
if you're really
obviously.
clutch and you bring your team back and they get a lot of wins because you're really skilled. Like obvious, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, like why don't we show interceptions or lost fumbles? Like where are those on this graphic? You know what I mean?
Jalen Hurts leads the league in tush pushes, so he has that on Cam too. And Cam leads the league in fancy dresses.
Yeah, I just like Cam was so big, he didn't need anyone to push him. Like brother was like two people on his own.
Like again, who knows what happened to Jalen Hurts? Maybe he has a MVP season like Cam. Um, Cam granted that MVP season, which wasn't one of his because we comparing Cam. This is Jalen Hurts' fourth year, comparing him to Cam's first 4 years. Cam's MVP year was, I believe, 5 or 6. And that's still one of the best QB seasons in terms of NFL history. Plus, that was the year they got a Super Bowl with. But Hurts, to me, I would like to see Hurts get to another level. Like right now, to me, he's a top 5, top 6 quarterback. I don't think it's going to be hard to get to top 2 or 3 when you have Patrick Mahomes and Burrow and Allen. So maybe that's the thing of just
Lamar as well.
yeah, this might just be an issue of like in ALS, you just have a lot of people ahead of you. But again, at the moment, I'm going to take Cam, but Hurts is still young. I can still see him put on big numbers. He's going to definitely score a lot of touchdowns. It's not even a question. Um, no, but it was just it was a weird debate too, because I feel like I don't know how it started, but I feel like just two random quarterbacks
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
I just, you know, one of them has used the tush push to his advantage. And in their defense, you don't like it, stop it. If you can't
Exactly.
stop it,
Outlaw
that's your problem, not my problem. You know what I mean? So it's like if you don't like it, stop it. But at the same time, considering that one guy was so dominant at running that he never even considered doing that over his entire peak of his career, I feel like speaks pretty significant volumes.
Well, we went back in time for a little bit. Let's go a little further back in time with the NFL Hall of Fame with the class of 2025. Let's in the class who's going Canton this weekend would be cornerback Eric Allen, tight end Antonio Gates, defensive end Jared Allen, and wide receiver Sterling Sharp. Now, for both me and Chelsea, I don't think we were alive, or if we were very young with Eric Allen still in Sharp.
Yeah, can't say I recognize that name. Sorry, guys.
But in terms of, I'll give him a quick flowers to both of them. Allen, he was a great cornerback in his best years with the Eagles throughout the 90s. And he gets somewhat overshadowed because when you're on a defensive team with Reggie White and Jerome Brown, coached by Buddy Ryan, that's known more for rushing the passer and sacking the cornerback kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But I believe he's the only cornerback, or defensive or NFL player in general to have 2 seasons of at least 3 pick sixes. So,
Wow.
so like he was certainly a ball hawk of his era. And Sterling Sharp, he's been on the ballot for years, and his thing was just he just got injured. He got injured, and he didn't get there before Favre. His best years were from the late 80s to the early 90s. And I believe his last 2 years is when Favre finally became the quarterback of the Packers. And people were going crazy, like, okay, this is going to be it. We're going to have Sterling Sharp and this new young guy. And Sharp got a neck injury and never came back. But outside of Jerry Rice for a 5, 6 year period, he was the best receiver in football. And again, it's just the bad luck of playing with the Packers when they weren't at their peak,
Right.
playing a very short career. You're in the shadow of Jerry Rice, and in part because you have a younger brother who kind of overshadowed you throughout his entire career in Shannon Sharp. So I'm happy. I think Chelsea, you should be happy too in terms of you have your old quarterback Andrew Luck. He didn't have a long career, but if Stilling get in, who knows?
That's not gonna happen, man. Don't get my hopes up. He
Okay.
threw too he threw too many interceptions to get into the hall.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
That's true. It's definitely interesting to hear about a guy getting in who did not have a notoriously long prime. Like that's very interesting. I feel like a lot of people who get in do have pretty long primes, and that's a large part of why they get in. So it's definitely interesting to see someone that is the opposite of that that still managed to get in. Makes you wonder what people they will apply those rules to for him in the future.
Well, I say this: Antonio Gates should have a long time because he was in the league for a
I loved
very.
watching him as a kid, man. Even as a Colts fan, he was so fun.
He was part of that tight end in the 2000s. It was him, Jason Witten, and Tony Gonzalez. Those were the tight
Yep.
ends of the 2000s. Those three were amazing. And
I
Gates,
loved Gonzalez too.
and Gates to me was because he probably because he played basketball, but so did Tony Gonzalez. Just as an athlete was just there was a different level in terms of tight ends. And him, I wish that offense with him, first with Drew Brees and then with Phillip Rivers. LT was in the backfield, Vincent Jackson, Chelsea coughing.
Hey.
Um, no, like Gates was the number one receiver on those teams, and I love the fact that he played for a long time. So I think people more remember him the last few years when he was kind of older. But I love the fact people realized this was an all-time player, and Jared
Yeah.
Allen was just he just got to the quarterback.
Yep.
He had honestly one of the best sack dances in the NFL history with the whooping up the whooping up the cattle and then celebrating. I think
Yep.
they actually outlawed that 'cause I think you can't get down your knees anymore, which stinks. But no, Allen,
Boo.
yeah, the no fun league. But Allen and Gates, those two were just like they were monsters on different sides of the football.
Yeah, for sure. Antonio Gates and Philip Rivers, man, they were the one of the banes of my existence in my childhood. Not as big of a bane as, the Tom Bradys of the world were, but still quite annoying. But man, he was good.
Yeah.
Him in that electric blue uniform, those were fire. Do you remember those?
I love all the Chargers, the powder blue uniforms.
Yep.
Granted, I think
Yeah.
Thompson looked the best in powder blue. I like Gates in like the dark blue yellow streak on.
Right.
I think that looks better on like a bigger guy, like a tight end or a receiver or something like that.
Yeah, I
But
gotcha.
we're looking ahead, so congrats to that class, and then we look ahead to man, this is gonna be a back cycle. This is
Holy cow, dude.
this
It
is
is,
gonna be fast.
I'm getting old when every single person on here I know. Not good.
Black and white photos. Nope,
Nope.
all these people had television. Um,
Oh man.
Well, let me just go through the names of these are all the people eligible for the 2026 class. We have Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Jason Witten, Frank Gore, Des Bryant, LaShawn McCoy, Greg Olsen, Julian Edelman, Marquise Pouncey, Philip Rivers, Stephen Gostkowski, Geno Atkins, and then I didn't put a name up there, but the hoodie, Mr. Belichick, Jordan's man, he's eligible too. And he's
Yeah, that I literally, yeah, like I said earlier, 5 seconds ago, I am feeling increasingly old because I know and watched all of these people over the course of my childhood and preteen and teenage years.
I should have broke out my Larry Fitzgerald jersey. Fitzgerald is probably my favorite non-Steeler, specifically because he lost that Super Bowl. If he would score that touchdown, they would have won that Super Bowl. I would despise Larry Fitzgerald, but they lost, so it's fine. But
It
Fitz,
worked out.
he to me is the he's the only person I would say probably should have broken a lot of Jerry Rice's records. It's just he never had a great quarterback for a consistent period of time.
True.
Like I feel so bad in terms of just him just never having even like after between Kurt Warner and then the resurgency of Carson Palmer for like a 2 or 3 year period in his later years, he never had like a consistent quarterback to throw him the football. Not even like an a above average, because there's some guys who just don't have Hall of Famers, but you didn't even have like an above average quarterback.
I mean, imagine if Larry Fitz had Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. I mean, he would have gone off for years.
Like I would have been happy with a Derek Carr for Larry Fitzgerald at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you got Drew Brees. Imagine having Drew Brees. Drew Brees, like I think Brady has broken a lot of his records, but Brees, it was known for being the most accurate player in all-time passer. basically helped uplift the city of New Orleans after the hurricane and basically took them to a place they've never been before. Jason
Yep.
Witten, we just talked about him being one of the big three tight ends of the 2000s with Gonzalez and Gates. Frank Gore is the number 3 or 4 all-time in rushing. Mr. Just never that he's there every year. Cam's
He
favorite
was a
part,
cold at one point.
he was everything at this
Yeah,
point.
he
But
was.
you have Greg Olsen, who I feel like was Cam's best target. I think he's somewhat underrated. People don't realize how good are the numbers
He
that
was dominant.
Greg Olsen had in the 2010s. Like
Hmm.
so it's gonna be interesting if he has to wait. Philip is gonna be interesting also in terms of the people who just missed the cut this past year and the past few years. In terms of quarterbacks, you still have Eli Manning and Ken Anderson going a throwback to Ken Anderson back in the 70s and 80s. For running backs, you got Fred Taylor, Ricky Waters, Marshawn Lynch, Roger Craig. Wide receivers, Anquan Bolden, Torrey Holt, Steve Smith, another one, Cam Starr, again, someone we both watched. Hines Ward, my guy, Reggie Wayne, Chelsea's guy.
Yep.
Like in terms of linemen, Willie Anderson, Richmond Webb, like Marshall Yada. Just we have a lot of people in terms of not even in defense, too. Defense, again, we got Terrell Suggs, T Sizzle, Debo, James Harrison, Robert Mathis doesn't have a nickname, so he doesn't get one.
He
Um,
was really good. You don't need a nickname to be good.
so good, you just know my name.
Yeah.
Defensive backs, Rodney Harrison, damn, like and some of the band. There's a lot of Patriots here. I've noticed there's gonna be a lot of Patriots here.
There are a lot of Colts who didn't make the cut either.
Yeah, like again, Adam Vinatieri, someone who's both Patriots and Colts.
Yep.
Vince Wilfork, Earl Thomas, Darren Ray,
That dude was the largest man I had ever seen in my life up
Vince
until
Wilfork.
that point of my life. I remember the first time I saw him, one of the first times, I was like, holy cow, that dude is like 18 of me. That is crazy.
I guess that's the funny thing about. I don't remember the first time I saw someone and just said, "Well, that person's giant."
He was so big because I was so little as a child. I just remember seeing him and being like, Dad, is that real? Like, is that He was like, yeah, he's a big guy. I was like, wow,
And he
he
was an athlete.
is.
And he was an athlete. I remember he got a couple picks. He was actually quick with his hands. I think the Hall of Fame, they have a minimum of 4 and a maximum of 8 per class. This is going to be insane. Like in
Yeah, it
terms
is.
of who gets in, who doesn't get in terms of people still coming up, because you still have the candidates in 2027, 2028, and on and on.
Right.
Like it's just like how would you even judge this? This is
Good thing it's not us picking because I'd probably make a lot of people mad.
uh well too bad because we're going to pick now.
Oh no. Are
No,
we doing okay, we're gonna do who would you pick of the 2026 right now without having done any research? Is that how we're gonna do it? Because that's how I'm gonna do it.
without any research, again, we have a maximum of 8, so we got the
Right.
first
Just
one,
watching.
just the candidates and the
Yeah.
semifinals too, just semifinalists as well.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Okay,
Let's start with the 2026 candidates then.
yeah. I
Okay.
think Breeze and Fitzgerald are definite in. They're like those are no question, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, too.
I'm gonna do Goskowski as well. He was really good.
Oh, you're gonna put the kicker, you're gonna put him in before Beneteri?
I never said I wasn't gonna put Vinatieri in
Okay,
because we're
okay,
doing 8, right?
okay. We're doing Gostkowski. Okay, let's
Yeah.
see. Who else do you got? Yeah, you can still
And I'm gonna take Olsen.
okay. Greg Olson. This is gonna be. He's not gonna
Got
be the first Colt, but he's gonna. I think he's gonna be not Colt. He's not the first Panther. He might be like the first Panther that spent like his best years with the Panthers, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I
He
think
was so good.
yeah,
People just don't realize it because he was stuck on a sucky team for most of his career, but that dude was so good.
yeah. So we got 4 right now, and you haven't looked at the semifinalists from who missed the cut.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna do Robert Mathis.
That's 5. That's
And
6 though.
I'm gonna do Vinatieri as well because I think Vinatieri deserves it.
We got 2 special team guys in.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna sound really biased if I pick Robert Mathis and Reggie Wayne as my other two, but I don't care.
So we got like 3 Colts and a Panther.
Yeah, Yeah. It sounds fair.
Yeah,
That's my eight.
that's
I'm gonna
okay.
take I'm gonna take Reggie Wayne and Mathis as my other two. Which, in my defense, I really do think they deserve to make it. Okay, that is not just me being biased. I
No,
picked a Patriot, for goodness sake.
no, of course, yeah, I get. Trust me, if I when I'm doing this too, I'm doing this too. I'm picking Breeze Fitzgerald on my obvious.
Right.
Um, I'm going to also pick Adam Vinatieri. I'm going to pick on this chart. Let's see, and I'm filibustering for time because I'm not sure who I'm actually going to pick. Um, I'm going to
Remember,
actually,
we have not done any research before picking these, so
I'm
don't
actually,
yell at us.
I'm actually going to pitch. It's going to be old school. I'm picking Roger Craig. He was the running back for the 49ers during their he won three of the four Super Bowls with A's with 49ers. The first running back to go 1,000 yards rushing and receiving the same year. I think the only reason why he's now in the Hall of Fame because his last play on the 49ers was him fumbling the football for them to lose the game in the NFC Championship game in 1990.
Sounds
He
like Cam Newton.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, a lot like Cam Newton, but he should have been in a few years prior in my opinion. He's an all-time player. Then I'm also picking Vince Wilfork. I am picking
Fair.
did I say Van Terry?
Yes, you did.
I just said Van Terry.
Yep.
I got five right now. I'm gonna pick Dan Wilson. It's cornerback for the defensive back for the 90s Cowboys, all-time player. I am picking Eli, Eli Manning.
Really?
I'm thinking between
Wow.
I'm between Eli and Philip Rivers. It's the two Super Bowls. I
Really?
look, the New Yorker in me has to pick Eli Manning.
But like, aren't Super Bowls a team stat though? I mean,
They are, but when you have like two of the greatest throws in NFL history, I have
but
to.
like Manning was totally mediocre outside of the Super Bowls. No one's gonna deny this.
I'm not gonna say he's mediocre. He had
He
some good
was
years.
average to slightly above average, but he was never special.
I think he had a few years where you could say he was special. I get what he's saying. Like he was never putting up the numbers of like he was never gonna win the MVP. But
Yeah, I
honestly,
mean, he grew up in the era of greatest
yeah.
quarterbacks of all time, so.
And number eight would be Heinz Ward. We have to go back to the Manning thing.
Honestly, I would have picked Terrell Suggs too. I remember watching that dude. He was so good. I mean, James Harrison, so good. Rodney Harrison, so good. Gosh, I feel like you have more knowledge on players in the 90s than I do. That hurts me a bit compared to you. But I feel like finalist list and the 2026 candidate list deserve to make it. Like there are so many viable candidates here.
Man, I'm happy we don't have to vote on this because like man, I just like I'm looking at the list like man, I think
Me
yeah,
too, dude.
Rivers should be here. Frank Gore, I'm leaving him out, and like, man, I can't leave him out.
And not neither of us picked Jason Witten. I mean, Cowboys fans are gonna be
I was
like,
trying,
ah,
honestly,
sorry.
I was gonna take Waiting down. No, I gotta put Heinz Ward in there. I was biased. I don't care.
Hines Ward was, yeah, that's true.
What's your
Neither of
Heinz?
us are biased, guys. Okay, stop. It's fine.
No, but we're just football fans, and the season's here. The season's finally here. It's finally
It's gonna
special,
be awesome.
and we will see you next time. Next time we see you, football will be played. Chose, play
Woohoo!
the handles for us.
All right, thanks for listening and or watching, guys. Give us a follow on our social media on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Launch Codes Football, and on Twitter because apparently Launch Codes Football is too long of a username for Twitter, so we are Launch Codes FB. I'm Chelsea,
I'm Daniel, and
and we will see you next week. Football!
football's finally back.
Woo!